Hello and greetings. Today we are discussing the domicile issue. You're a US citizen, you're living overseas, you file a petition for your husband, for your wife, for your fiance, for your parents, for your children, for one member of your family. And then the National Visa Center or the consulate or an embassy comes back to you and says, we need proof that you have established domicile in the US. What do? How do you come up with that proof? You're not actually living in the US. How do you handle this issue? That is what I'm going to be discussing today. And to discuss this topic, we have a guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself for a minute, my friend?
Sorry?
Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Mujahid Munawar. I'm from India and my wife is US citizen.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and let's get right into it. Tell me what's going on with your situation and how we can help. I know you have the domicile issue.
Yes. The problem is that my wife stays in India over a year, and when I go for the interview, they ask me, where's your wife? So I say that she's with me. When did you last meet? So I told that I met before coming to the interview. And again, he asked when she came to India last time. So I told so January and 2022 was in over a year. He asked me like that. So I told yes. Do you have any proof or evidence she will go back? Do you book the tickets? I don't know. I did not book the tickets, but I will book the tickets after getting the visa approval. So he said okay and give me the domicile proof. Tell me to 221G and told me that just bring these documents, we'll approve your visa as soon as possible. We'll do your process as soon as possible.
Okay. So thank you so much for that background. That's super helpful. Let me give you a little bit of background information and then we'll get into the details of your answer. So as a US citizen, so are you the petitioner? Are you a US citizen or it's your wife, right?
My wife is the petitioner. I'm the beneficiary. I'm the principal applicant.
Okay. And she's a US citizen?
Yes.
Okay. So as a US citizen, your wife has the legal right to file a petition for you. And she can bring you to the US with an immigrant visa, and you can get a green card and you can live in the US. This is exactly the process that you follow. However, and this is the issue, in order for you to get this case approved, you have to show that your wife has domicile in the United States. And if she is temporarily abroad or she's spending time in India living with you while you're waiting for the process to unfold, then there's some question about whether she actually, in fact, lives in the United States, has domicile in the United States or not. Because if she's not living in the US, if she doesn't have domicile in the US, then she is not eligible to petition for you. So that's the situation you're in. Is that right?
Right.
That's basically.
Yes. My question is that she must have to move to US or she can apply from abroad.
Okay. So again, the general rule, just by way of background, the general rule is that she has to live in the United States. She has to have domicile in the United States in order to be eligible to file a visa petition and in order to qualify for the affidavit of support. So the process, if your wife lives in India, she's not domiciled in the US and has no plans to come to the US, then the process won't work. She's not eligible to petition for you. But I suspect, and tell me if I'm wrong, that once your visa is approved and issued, you're going to come to the United States and live in the United States, and your wife's going to come with you, right?
Yes, yeah, right, of course. That's the reason we are applying for the visa.
Of course. But she doesn't want to leave you there until it's approved, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what you need to do. What you need to do is have your wife go back to the US and establish domicile, okay? She needs to get a driver's license. She needs to register to vote. She needs to get I mean, does she own a house or rent an apartment? Receive mail? Get a lease for where she lives? Doctor's bills? Maybe she could start looking for a job or get a job. You need to establish all of those things. And I like to work on that right about before the interview or before the visa petition. Like right now, they've sent you a request for documents, right?
Right.
Now's the time to do it. She flies back and gets set up and starts to generate that sort of paperwork. And she can send
But
you, yeah.
yeah, but do we have the documents of like the water bill and lease agreement? We have already started the lease agreement from this month, and bank account, credit card statement, Robinhood investments. We have these proofs. So is it okay?
Yes.
So, or she has to move? And
Well, um, I think that you want to make sure that you have overwhelmingly addressed this issue. And if she's still in India, but you're just creating some paperwork to show that she's in the US, I'm not
mm,
sure I would do that. I mean, I really like registering to vote. I really like getting a driver's license. I really like getting a car, getting a job or looking
like
for a job.
no
Things that
no.
show she's on the ground, you know?
I mean to say like we don't we want to go intend to move. I hope so, together, as I have two kids and both are U.S. citizens, and
Okay.
we
Well,
all
hang
want
on.
to go
Where,
together.
where where are your kids right now?
They are in India right now with me.
Okay. Well, we're getting
We all
ready
are
to start.
united. Yeah.
We're getting ready to start school. Why not have your wife and kids go back to the U.S. and put the kids in school? That would definitively, if you did that, no problem. That would definitively address the domicile issue. Your wife gets a driver's license. The kids are registered to school in school. They're in school in the U.S. You have proof of this. You got it. You got that nailed. You're going to win that issue. You could even include an affidavit from your wife saying that she has moved back to the U.S. And she's expecting and hoping for the approval of your visa and that you intend to establish your life in the U.S. Now, I think what you're getting at is, can you satisfy this issue without actually moving back, right?
Yes. Right.
Because
Exactly.
I think it would be logistically difficult for your wife to move back without you, the father, the husband, right?
Right.
I think you can
She's
do it.
also listening.
What
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. She's also listening.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I hope this is helpful to you. I think you can do it. The regulations in the Foreign Affairs Manual say that you can satisfy this issue if you can show that you intend to move back upon the approval of the visa. But I
Yes.
don't really like doing it that way because it gives too much discretion to the officer. I like to definitively knock that issue out of the park. And if you go back and you put the kids in school and your wife gets a driver's license and registered to vote and you have proof that she has a doctor, that she's arranged for medical care and she's actually there, then I think that there's no one that can dispute that issue. Now, if you try to do it the way that I think that you're pushing towards, which is to show that there's proof of domicile, that in the sense that she intends to move back once it's approved, I think you can win that issue. But you're going to have to, I mean, I think the more you can show concrete steps. If you've rented an apartment, do you have a lease?
Yes. I have a lease agreement.
You do. Is it a
Yes.
real lease? Like you've actually paid money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's
Um,
real lease.
have you taken steps to enroll your kids in school? Maybe
Y-
you set that up ahead of time. You should.
y- Okay. We are trying for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't. I mean, school works differently in different parts of the U.S. And I'm a father with a couple little kids, and so I can
She's
tell you that.
mhm.
Go
She's
ahead.
just 2.8.
She's what?
2 2.8, 2 years 8 months.
2 years, 8 months. Oh, congratulations. That's a cute age.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe she's not going to be in school yet. She might be in daycare, or maybe not. Maybe she's home with
Yes.
you. How many kids do you have?
Two kids.
How old is the other?
18 months.
Oh, you got your hands full. Okay, well, I mean, it's a creative exercise and there's no definitive list, but let me give you some other examples. Maybe you've lined up a pediatrician, right? You gotta take your kids to go see a doctor, and you're gonna need a pediatrician anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe you could take steps to make sure that you've put yourself in the care of a pediatrician. You've found a pediatrician, and that could serve as proof of your intent to domicile in the U.S. I really like registering to vote. I really like driver's license. Those are things that you can only do if you actually live there. Um,
Okay.
those are a few ideas. Is this helpful to you?
Hmm.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Like, we can win the case, or it's better to move to US? What do you advise better?
I think that you should have your wife, if possible. I think you should consider having your wife go back to the U.S. to set up as much of this stuff
Mm.
as possible. Set up the pediatricians. Make sure that the apartment is set up. Maybe you're going to get a car, right? Maybe she could get a car and have the car registered in the U.S. Like, I'm just thinking out loud, but all of these steps are going to create irrefutable proof that you have established domicile, that you have not only that you intend to do so, but you've actually taken concrete steps to do it. I think you can absolutely win this case. Can you win the case without actually going back, just based on intention? I think so,
Yeah.
but I tend to be conservative, and I want to make sure that I've really addressed the issue in a way that the officer couldn't dispute at all. So those are some ideas, and the types of documents that I've thought of in this conversation are just ones that came to mind, and you could think of other ones that might be um, that might be better. I'm just for example, it's a creative exercise. If you're religious, maybe there's a local um, church, synagogue, temple, something that you would connect with, that you could show proof that you've taken steps to connect with your local religious institution. Or maybe you yourself plan to find a job in the U.S. and you've taken steps to do that.
We
Uh,
have already done that, and she got the offer letter as well.
okay, you have an offer letter for a job. Okay, that's
Yes.
fantastic. Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
great news, first of all, that you have this, but it's also great news that you it's great news in terms of documentation for your case. Those are all concrete steps that I think are going to help you win this. And as soon as you have all this documentation, you pull it together, including maybe a sworn affidavit from you and from her saying that you both intend to move, the offer letter, the driver's license, the voting registration, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you pull it all together, and I think you can win this issue. And if you need more specific help, I'll reach out to you and you can make an appointment. Our firm can help you. Um, and you're on your way. Is that any other questions about it?
No, everything is clear.
Okay, is this helpful?
Yeah. Very helpful.
Okay, you can absolutely reach your immigration goal. Good luck. I'm gonna say goodbye, and then I'm gonna stay around to answer some more questions. Okay?
Yes. Can I tell you what are the
Sure.
documents I have collected till
Sure.
now? I have the flight tickets, confirmed flight tickets, as well as employment letter, and we are trying for the registration to the school, to the kids, and what other else? Bank account and credit card statement. Is it fine?
I think that sounds like a good start. Voting registration,
Mm-hmm.
um, utilities, uh,
Utility bill we have, water bill.
car, 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 insurance, any kind of medical insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, auto insurance, these sorts of things. But again, it's a creative exercise. There's no definitive list. You're just looking for proof that she lives in the US or intends to do so upon approval, okay?
Okay.
Good luck, my friend. Good luck. You can do it. You can do it. Take care.
Yes. Yes. Oh.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you to our friend for joining us. And I'm here to answer any other questions you have. I'm going to answer a few questions here. Now we have a question from Maziar, our friend on LinkedIn. He says, hey, Josh, do you believe as a business person, as a shareholder of a U.S. medical manufacturer that creates 100 jobs, that would be defendable for my administrative for B1 visa that is over 8 months and didn't hear back? Well, first of all, Maziar, I want to thank you for joining us and thank you for your question. And I also want to tell you how much I appreciate your contribution to the economy in the U.S. I think you're doing an amazing job as a shareholder for the medical manufacturer company. Creating jobs is not a requirement for a B1 visa. Let's go back and think about what the B1 visa is, okay? In order to get a B1 visa, you have to show that you plan to come to the US for a business purpose, okay? You also have to overcome the presumption of immigrant intent. You cannot get the visa unless you can persuade the embassy or consulate that at the end of your visit to the US, you plan to go back to your home country. So ties to your home country, that's the key issue, not that you're going to create the jobs, okay? That's nice that you're going to do that, but it's not going to get you approved. What you need to show is that you have children in the US, you have a wife in the US, that you own outside the US, that you have family outside the US, that you have real estate outside the US, that you have a job outside the US, that you really truly are only going to stay for a temporary period and then you're going to return. I think that is better. And as far as the 8-month delay, that's just very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. But I hope my answer is helpful to you. Okay, now we're going to go to Mad Veteran. I'm so glad I found your channel. So much information. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. I hope that's great. Let's see what's on his mind or her mind. Thank you for joining. He says, hey, Josh, I've been with my other half for 4 years now. It was so hard for me to get a visitor visa to the US with my PTSD as I served out in Iraq 2006, 2007. But I got my visitor visa approved. That's awesome. It says, in February, I'll be seeing her for the first time and I can't wait. That's also great. I had to go through the visa. It was a B2 visa, B1, B2. All right, so I assume my friend Mad Veteran is going to ask a question. But I'm glad that you got your visa. I'm glad that you found love and that you're coming here, and that I hope everything works out, and let me know how I can be of assistance to you. The domicile issue is the one that was on my mind this morning. That's what got me to make this video, and it's something that is very confusing for a lot of people. Let's go to this question from a Facebook user. Thank you, Facebook user. I'll read the question and then I'll answer it as best I can, or try to. I had my interview regarding a CR1 spouse visa on May 20th, 2023, and my consular officer gave me DS 5535. It's been almost 3 months, and my wife will soon have lung cancer removal surgery in September 2023. Can I file a mandamus lawsuit on my wife's medical basis? Is there any way to come over to the US so my wife doesn't have to look after anyone? Wow. First of all, I can understand that sounds like a very difficult situation. It's very difficult to have a loved one who's going through cancer, lung cancer, having surgery, being separated by a border and by immigration nonsense. I think that May 2020, In order to do a mandamus lawsuit, we have to prove that there's been an unreasonable delay. And a delay of a couple of months is not generally unreasonable after your interview. But if you've been in administrative processing and your wife has this medical situation, then I think we're ready to help you. You could do mandamus. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put in here my email address. I want you to email me directly, and I want you to say no more waiting in your subject line. When you say no more waiting, you've got my full attention, and we can help you right away do that. My email is josh@jgoldlaw.com. But send me an email, and I would do anything I can to help you reach your goal right away. Hope that helps. Let's go back to our mad veteran. What's the best way to get a green card for the U.S.? I'm a British man. Okay, well, there are many, many different ways to get a green card. And what is the best way depends on your unique situation and your goals. And it's very hard to answer this in the abstract. But based on your earlier question, you said you're going to see, you said you met someone and you're going to see, you described her as your other half. You've been with her for 4 years. You've got a visa. If she's a U.S. citizen, then a green card through marriage would be something to consider. That's just something to consider. But if you want, we could do a consultation with you. We could get on and explain how things are going, and I could try my best to help you out. All right, let's try Raphael. Hello, Joshua. I'm a partially accredited representative for a nonprofit. I have a client that's applying for naturalization. During his adjustment time, she declared to be the agent, bringing her 2-year-old son. Her interview took place in 2000. She was advised to wait in Mexico and obtain a waiver for smuggling. She did that and was granted legal permanent residence and would like to apply for citizenship. He says, I'm concerned that she can... that sounds like a spicy one. First of all, Raphael, I want to thank you for your question. It's a very thoughtful one. I don't have all the details. I hope you continue to post some more. But just off the top of my head, one thing that I think would be very helpful, especially given a complex immigration history where someone's had a waiver and so on for smuggling, what I would do is I would file a FOIA. That is a request under the Freedom of Information Act for a copy of her entire file. If you get her entire file, you can see the waiver application, you can see copies of all the forms that she filled out, and this is extremely valuable information that you would need to try to prepare her application for naturalization. And I think that her application for naturalization would probably, you would need to hire a lawyer. We would definitely be able to help her out. But we would want to see all that information to kind of get the full history of things. So let's do that. I'll put my email on again. If someone has questions, wants a consultation, anything of that nature. This is my email. If you have questions or need help, just reach out. Shoot me an email. I'm here for you. Now, here's a question. How do you get a work permit? How do you get a work permit in the U.S.? Well, to get a work permit, there are many, many ways to get a work permit. And I'll just throw out a few. First, you can have temporary protective status. That will entitle you to a work permit. You can apply for asylum, and during the application process, you could qualify for a work permit. You could apply for a green card, and while you're waiting for the green card, you can apply for a work permit, and you're entitled to a work permit while you're waiting for your green card. You can also get DACA. And when you have DACA, it entitles you to a work permit. These are a few ideas that come to mind for how you can get a work permit, and I hope it's helpful. I want to thank everybody for joining, and we'll be back soon. Remember, you can reach your immigration goals. You can do it.